I'm on a date tonight, so I'll have to just look good. No, I'll just do it in front of her, shouldn't I?
Going! He's kept going! He scored! Oh, Stockport pressure. And the header into the back of the net! It's Coleman! Played in the game. And a superb goal! Johnny did it! Lisa! Rose tries to get the ball in. Wilkinson!
It's a 5-star performance from Stockport County.
All right, we got a small house, but we got a big bloody heart, I tell you.
Caught me by surprise then. Shouldn't do that. 6 months and it caught me by surprise. Hello, I'm basically like 90% picky tea by this point, so I'm just waiting for death. Hello and welcome to the final episode of 2024 of SK3 TV, the Thinking Persons County podcast. With me, Nick. I'm very businesslike tonight because I had a dream the other night that Claudia Winkleman told me I wasn't being businesslike enough, so straight into it. Bringing her soothing tones all the way from Florida this week, it's Hannah. Hello.
Hello. I had a dream last night that Louis Barry saved me from an alligator. So that's both county related and Floridian, because I'm not sure I would normally have dreams about alligators anyway.
Or Louis Barry anymore.
Or Louis Barry, yeah.
But no one's losing their minds. No one's losing their minds at all.
Fine.
Well, from soothing tones to soothing, pleasing tones to the opposite end of the scale, all the way from over there, it's Ben. Hello.
Good evening. I think is that a compliment or is that an insult, Nick?
No, it's a compliment. It's. I've had an argument with Bungle on the yellow boards.
Yeah. We've all been there, mate. We've all been there.
Yeah. I couldn't help myself. 2:30 this morning, I was like, I'll fucking tell him.
Yeah. What time is he coming on?
Oh God, he's coming on the 30th of February.
Yeah, can you tell the time?
Well, I don't think he'd be able to use this for starters. He wasn't happy. He wasn't happy about not getting to go on a podcast that he doesn't watch them. He's not watching. Don't matter.
What? Hang on. Is that what the argument was about? What was the argument?
No, the argument was about him popping up on there every few months to pick a scapegoat out. Usually, Ben, Torre, or Wotton are the three choices. It's
Okay.
Wotton this week. He's won the Bungle shit lottery.
In fairness, I don't think lots of people seem to be picking on him this week. And for maybe you're right. Maybe it's just his turn.
Maybe we're just weirdos. But I replied to one of his posts pointing out that what he always does is start arguing with people, claim that they've said something that there's no record of them saying, and then not post again for like 2 weeks. So he started a new post to say, "Oh, SK3 TV, why don't you let me on your podcast? I can do any Thursday from the end of January or start of February." I was like, "Right, first thing first, you're not big enough to dictate what day you come on." If Kevin Francis came to us and said, "I want to come on," I'll do one of these days. But yes, we'll do anything for you.
I was going to say on a Thursday when we don't do the podcast.
Bungle off the yellow boards. Oh, but he's not. This is going to get back to him. I can't wait for 3 weeks' time when he cracks a message across and goes, "Oh, you're talking about me, were you?" Yes, last year, because it will be last year by then. Ben, how was your Christmas?
It was all right. It was nice. It was pretty uneventful. Just kind of small children, my own small children, getting very excited and giddy and emotional. And it was nice. Yeah, kind of punctuated by 2 disappointing trips over to Yorkshire.
Yeah.
But disappointing, frustrating, disappointing.
Frustrating is the word I used yesterday.
Maybe it's disappointing, but if it is disappointing, that's a marker of how far we've come. So.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well, we don't need to spend the next hour talking about it then, because that's basically the long and short of it. Yeah, I've been enjoying seeing people losing their minds though. That's what I genuinely said to someone in a group chat the other day, that part of me wants Challoner to start getting like offered jobs higher up, just because there's There's nothing interesting. It's all just very, we're good at football. We're winning more than we lose, and there's no like big event where we can get some proper vitriol going there. And I'm sure someone will call him a snake when the day comes or something like that. Just that sort of thing. I miss it.
I think it's just the time of year, isn't it? People haven't got work to go to. Some people, because lots of places shut down for the Christmas break, and it's just got to that point where it's boredom and it's picking fights for no reason, combined with Louis Barry panic and transfer window shenanigans.
Yeah, if I see one more person say the Icelandic lad is the perfect replacement for Barry, I'm going to fucking scream. Right, a cheeky bit of admin. On the 24th, which was Christmas Eve, as it is every year, myself and Ben released a little bonus episode of an ongoing series of a format we came up with. It was fun, wasn't it, Ben?
It was. I enjoyed it. To be honest, I've totally forgotten about that, given all the high octane activities of A Quiet Christmas. So I've not actually watched any of it back. So maybe I should do that. And if you haven't, you definitely should, because we committed over 2 hours of our lives across 2 separate evenings to deliver this kind of content. So if you haven't already watched it, it's free. It's available on all the usual places. Go and drink it in, as they say. It's good.
Surprised to see that more people are listening to the audio version than are watching the video version, despite me warning that you'd be better off watching the video version. So it just goes to show that my words are heeded. So that's nice. That's a nice little Christmas surprise for me.
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. It was. I don't think we're giving too much away to say it's about 10 Christmas period games from our past, going from 96, 97 up to 21, 22. Not 10 dead obvious games, not all Boxing Day. So, yeah, there's loads of good stuff in there. It's the first one that we've done for a while on the day Smith never existed. So we will be doing more, but go and watch this one because, like I say, it's a good one.
I banged it on while I was prepping Christmas dinner on Christmas Day. I stuck it on.
Yeah.
Waited for my edible to kick in. Don't normally like. That was quite the morning, I tell you. Turns out you get to a point when an edible kicks in that snowballs don't taste of anything. You can't taste the avocado in the snowball. I mean, they go down easy enough. I don't think anyone's ever been pissed on snowballs in their life until I came along.
A snowball.
I can't beat a snowball. It's
I'm
good,
not
isn't
sure
it?
I've never had one.
Oh, Hannah.
Yeah.
What is it with my podcast co-founders having never tried snowballs? You're the second one.
Well, I don't know.
Well, you don't drink now, do you? So that.
I know, but pre that, I'd have drunk anything and I still haven't.
It's just Advocaat, soda water, and a little bit of lime, isn't it?
Oh, lemonade, not soda water, mate. What sort of Waitrose snowballs are you having?
The low
Obviously, I don't know. My ones aren't sweet enough. No, it is lemonade, isn't it?
Yeah. The one I had about half an hour ago was.
I'm getting my spritzes mixed up. No, it's good. They're great. They're really sweet, and you can drink about like a bottle of Advocaat and consume about 6,000 calories as you do it.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Pure sugar. Yeah.
I was full by the time the Christmas dinner was ready. Just didn't want to eat a thing. Just basically had a plate of roast potatoes. And I always do like double the amount of roast potato. People coming in going, "Oh, you've cut too many potatoes there." I was like, "No, you'll see." And then I'm just taking them out the air fryer periodically and eating them. So there's barely any left by the time it was ready. You're not a Sunday dinner fan, are you, Ben?
Air fryer.
We've joined the cult.
No, I'm not a Sunday dinner fan. If anything, I would put it as it wouldn't even trouble my top 20 things to eat on a Sunday, let alone Christmas Day or just meals of any time of like top meals. They're all right, but yeah, I can think of many things I would rather have over a roast dinner, particularly on Christmas Day.
You should see like on the dating apps, everyone's at it. They're all walking up a big hill and then having a roast dinner.
Sunday, a walk and a roast. Grow up. Yeah.
Shivering and shitting is my Sunday normally. Just regretting all my Saturday choices. That's how you do a Sunday. Not going up a bloody hill. I don't want to go up on a hill any days. Never mind a Sunday. Oh no.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, I saw something on Twitter earlier, and it was saying it's only like 3 more days to go until all the kind of like the Sasheds and the Caners are all kind of up in the hills, New Year, New Me, and everything for January, all in for hikes. Yeah,
Yeah, spot on. Oh, that's something to look forward to, isn't it? Oh.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what
I've
else
got
there is to
another
look forward to.
thing.
Oh, go on.
I don't know. I might be preempting it, but related to Ben, I'm also not a Sunday roast person. I do not normally have Christmas dinner. I have steak and chips. It's a thing. And this year I just have vegetable. Like, again, long story. But the pictures that Andy off of Blackbird, formerly, puts on Facebook, I've wanted a Sunday roast since I've started, like, he started putting them up. And yeah, I think now it's fear of missing out, but he said he'll be making an announcement soon and it's coming back.
Yeah.
That's
I will make an
exciting.
exception for Andy. We went there a couple of months ago on a Sunday and had I think I had lamb, and it was exceptional.
Nice.
It's everything that he tends to cook is. He's never had a bad feed when Andy's on the pans.
Nice.
Is on the pans the right phrasing? It is now.
On the pans. Yeah.
I mean, he is.
Someone must have said that. At least one other person must have said that in the history of the world. I can't be the first person ever to put those words in that order in the context.
I've never heard it before.
Celebrated pansman Andy James.
Pansman, yeah, exactly that.
Yeah. Excellent. Oh, okay. Well, we've got through 12 minutes there, and
Should we just draw a line under it now? Just wrap it up.
Draw a line under it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's probably the best thing to do, isn't it? Should we wrap it up here for the year? That's six great months of content creation, and just fuck it off. Come back next year from a hill.
Imagine the uproar in the comments if we did.
Oh god! And we are streaming live on Twitter today as well as on YouTube.
Right.
Thought I'd try it out.
Anyone
I
bother?
can't see the comments.
Oh well, it's Twitter, so it's just people moaning about trans people and Jews.
The normal comments. You know, like normally we can see the comments come in because I'm on.
Okay.
It's an iPad. Don't know. Can I make it do things? No.
Oh. Well, hopefully no one will say anything about you.
Yeah.
Well, we've got some superb names in the comments, so that's always good. The fact that we're also broadcasting on Elon. Yeah. Oh, Matt's there. Yeah. Several miles from you, and also yeah.
No, it's quite a way away from me. But I took it to Raising Cane's on Friday. The girls wanted to go to Raising Cane's, and so Matt met us there. It was lovely. Little Stockport County reunion in South Florida.
Oh. Am I going to have to go to Florida to find people?
Yes, you should.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I will. Maybe I'll go now and just leave you to it. Right. Let's do it. Let's start with Boxing Day after this. Right, I'm going to get into the spirit of my experience of watching the Boxing Day game. So, Ben, talk us through it. I'm going to drink.
Boxing Day, Huddersfield, kind of set the tone for the last couple of games, really. Obviously not ideal going behind after 40 seconds when you're away from home at a team above you in the league. Were Huddersfield good? You can't say they weren't good because they beat us. They didn't stand out as being one of the better teams that we've seen this season. They did enough to win. I think we didn't do enough to win. I think Challoner was spot on what he said yesterday after the Rotherham game, that at this level you need to be, I can't remember exactly what he said, but you need to be smarter or sharper or to take a bit more care, particularly in the final third. And I think that's what's letting us down. Our approach play has been, on the whole, decent. We've not kind of clicked and been this kind of machine that we've been in the past, but we've been decent enough to create chances, but it's just not happening for us. We're not scoring enough goals, I think, is probably the root of it. So yeah, frustrating day out, which kind of carried over to Rotherham yesterday, that I thought we probably did enough yesterday to win, again without kind of having any glaring misses. It was lots of half chances and lots of swarming around their box without really kind of making the keeper work too much. Connolly had that dig from 20 yards. There was one that Collar flashed wide for Wootton. But beyond that, I don't remember really too many chances in either game. Obviously, there was the Collar one against Huddersfield. which was the big one.
That was the big chance for the 2 games for me. And he should be doing better from there.
Yeah, but then you look at that and you think, obviously Barry scored against Rotherham, but that wasn't really a chance as such. You know, he was 20 yards from goal or whatever, and he pinged one in, which was fantastic. But it wasn't a clear-cut opportunity. He's just what Louis Barry does, isn't he? He does things like that. So you look at the 2 games and think, you know, that collar chance is that probably the best chance we had over the 2 games, even though we scored another goal. And Alafe had a sort of a half effort against Huddersfield. And you know, people say, "Oh, we hit the bar or we hit the post or whatever we did," but I don't think we're not creating enough proper chances. Is the problem? So that when one does come along, we're kind of relying on it having to go in because we're creating so few chances.
Yeah, you watched it from thousands of miles in the air, did you not, Hannah? How many miles up is a plane?
I don't know. I don't know.
Tend to say about 37,000 feet. What's that in miles?
I don't know. Either way, the Wi-Fi was shit.
It was for the best.
7 miles high. 37,000 feet is 7 miles.
That's from where I am right now to Manchester. That's 7 miles.
You're that high up.
That high up, yeah. That's
John
high.
Bill, we should know. I feel like he's the kind of man who would know an answer to something like that.
Yeah.
Let us know, John. Tell us, how many miles does a plane fly high?
Yeah. It's just become a Christmas quiz.
On. Don't you like? Isn't it the? Oh no, it's the Mile High Club. I was going to say the 8 Mile High Club, but that's like an M&M slash. Different.
If doing it on a plane's the Mile High Club, what's doing it on the train? Is that like the Foot High Club?
That's the Risky Business Club.
Yeah,
I've been there.
Kind of sexual prevention orders club, isn't it?
That's why I don't do away days on the train anymore.
Yeah.
So yeah, I did. Yeah, I tried to watch it. I gave up not long after half time, which felt like a sensible decision in retrospect. Yeah.
It does. As much as it annoys me, sometimes it is relevant when people come out and say, "Oh, just think about where we were." But at the same time, it's so tiresome. It makes me really want to hurt people, even though it is a good point. But when you've heard it like 17,000 times,
not a good point. It's not comparable. It's not like we've had some kind of Wimbledon in the 80s and 90s organic rise, and obviously it's been organic in terms of, you know, its natural progression and all that, but the club and the team of, you know, people always hark back to like Vauxhall Motors and Colwyn Bay as being that one. That was 10 years ago, but also that's a completely different club now. It's like Man City pre-takeover and where they are now. It's nothing like that. The money that's gone into it, the infrastructure, the resources, everything there is completely different. So, yeah, we were playing Gainsborough and Hyde and all this other lot 10 years ago or 6 years ago, however many years it was in the National League North. But since then, we've been taken over and had literal tens of millions of pounds spent on the club. So,
yeah.
It's just such a weak, nothing statement to say, well, like, we should be grateful. Look how far we've come in this short space of time. Well, yeah, but look how much money we've spent, and look at the resources and the players and everyone we've got involved at the club now. So we're probably about where we should be. And the recent past is relevant.
That financial investment, some people just don't see it. Like, there was a comment on social media, I think at the weekend, about how we're there on our own merit, not based on millions. Like, I was just completely flummoxed by it, because there's money on the pitch, like exactly as you say, Ben. There's money in the stadium. We're so lucky to have the facilities that we've got at Carrington, and, you know, potentially with better ones on the way. How can you say that that's not financially driven?
Yeah, exactly. And it's not as simple as saying, you know, money equals success, because there's been loads of other clubs in the past who've had money. You know, we've had money in the past and not always made a good go of it. So that isn't to downplay the work that Wilson and like Challoner and Clint Hill and everyone at the club have done to get us to this point. And absolutely that achievement should be recognised and celebrated. But let's we are where we are now because of the investment that's come in. That investment has allowed talented people like Challoner and Hill and Wilson to come to the club and drive us to where we are now. It's not been some organic fairy tale of kind of natural progression where we've built our way up from second bottom of the National League to fifth in League One. We've done it because we've had a shitload of money thrown at us. That's, if we're being blunt, that's what it is.
And that attracts playing talent, commercial talent off the pitch. People, we know that Stott leverages his kind of professional connections to bring good people in to improve the club. And
and all of that is right, and please don't anyone kind of take what I'm saying in the wrong way and think I'm having a pop at the club or Stott or Wilson or anyone for that. Because, as Hannah said, dead right, that money, that investment enables us to be the best or be one of the better clubs at this level and everything. And that's great. And hope it continues. We are a very well, I don't know if very well run is the right phrase, but, we're a very slick operation now. So hopefully it continues to do that way. But this whole thing that people throw out of, 5 years ago we were playing X, Y, and Z, don't matter. We're a different club now.
And that's not even the maddest stuff that gets thrown out either. I almost wanted to, on weeks where we lose a game or even maybe don't win a game that we'd expect to be winning and come away with a point, I almost want to do an extra episode where we just flash stuff up on the screen and react to it. Because some of the stuff I've seen, particularly on Facebook, who would have thought Facebook would be a place where people didn't know
such a barometer? It's probably such a reliable barometer of sensible discussion, isn't it?
It's bonkers. I couldn't believe it. But some of the stuff I was seeing in that group, and just people who've clearly not the amount of stuff I'm seeing about the Icelandic lad being like the answer to all our problems. It's like, he scored loads of goals in that video I saw. Yes, but against like the equivalent of
highlight reel.
Yeah.
It's his own highlight reel. They're not going to put him when he skies it over from 3 yards, are they? In there.
Yeah. I think. Do you think there's an element, Ben, of expectations needing to be tempered? Because if you look at Wickham, Birmingham are the big example. Wrexham have probably spent more than us but at the same time they're bringing in more than us commercially with worldwide sponsorship.
I don't want to get into the whole who spent more and who's got the biggest budget and all that kind of cock waving competition because we don't really know who's got that and whatever. It's probably safe to assume that Birmingham have got the biggest budget, but then they're top of the league. So, we're probably broadly about where we should be. We might be punching slightly above our weight in terms of league position, but I also think we're in a little bit of an elevated position in terms of because we played an extra game than everyone. In some cases, we played 2 extra games, and I think once that all balances out, we're probably about 8th. Which is probably about right for where we are, give or take the odd position in terms of backing and budget and all that kind of stuff. But the other thing is that someone like Wickham, I've no idea if they're the biggest spenders or the lowest spenders in the league, but they get a lot of disrespect. It's Little Wickham Wanderers. It's 3 years ago they were in the Championship or whatever it was.
Wickham and Peterborough are the two worst ones who get that. Yeah, constantly.
Yeah, they were a Championship club, but they've been at the top end of League One every year, apart from being in the Championship, when they've been in League One, they've been pushing at the top of this division every year for like the last 5 or 6 seasons. So, that's exactly the kind of thing that we should be aiming to do, Wickham. They've got a really, really talented manager. So let's try and emulate that success. And if that means going up to the Championship and then coming straight back down, so be it. I'm fine with that.
Wickham did do a lot of recruitment in the summer, but they recruited from within League One, which is quite unusual versus Birmingham, Wrexham, kind of in terms of kind of promoting players up. And a lot of Peterborough's business this summer was like Chris Clark and what's the lad from Rochdale called? I can't remember.
Hayes.
Yes, Kieran Hayes. Yeah. And then Burton are a really good example of having a lot of money, a lot of resources, buying the players, spending the money. And the players, even though a lot of them were free agents, they were promised the world in terms of the facilities that they've got, which are incredibly good. They've used St George's Park as well, but they're on really good salaries, and it was one of these, this is too good to turn down type situations, but they just have not kicked on yet.
Yeah. Burton have got probably the best training ground in the country as well, and
they're I think it's common knowledge they've got the architect who did Spurs' ground is redeveloping their ground as well, and that's part of the players that joined in the summer were buying into the future and the development. Obviously, Fleur Robinson's come back from Wrexham, although the Wrexham fans would say that that's why things have gone to shit at Burton. But then they've got this Icelandic consortium as well. So yeah, it's money doesn't buy success, as Ben pointed out. And Burton are a really good example of that. And we'll have, I think, next season, hopefully, Birmingham. Well, assuming Birmingham go up, they won't be under the new SCMP rules which are coming in, which will affect us. They'll affect Wrexham.
We'll be having a deep dive into that on one of the January episodes. Yeah.
Opposed to my solo deep dive last week during one of the times when your internet went off.
Oh yeah. I watched that back. I was like, that's superb. Yeah, thanks StreamYard. Fine this week though. Look at me here. I mean, if you wanted to prove the point that money doesn't guarantee anything, there's a team in the Premier League that have spent the best part of £1 billion over the last few years, and they're currently 2-0 down at home to Newcastle.
Are they?
So,
wow.
Yeah,
I've got it on kind of. That's why I keep looking up every now and then. I've got it on over from the shoulder, and it could be 5 already. Like Newcastle are shooting from corners because United have conceded 2.
Everyone was that was great.
To make a save direct from a corner that was going in, and then Trippier's just floated another one, and it's just gone past the post. Tonali's just had a deflection go wide. Obviously, I'm not watching it fully, but United are a shambles. Just great.
It's like watching us in the early months of the National League North. I watched their. Who was it they lost to? Oh, the Bournemouth game last week.
Yeah.
I watched that, and it was just like, I honestly think that team with like Craney and Hand and what have you in it would have given them a good game, because they were just woeful. There was no idea. Wonderful. Yeah. Great to see. Yeah, just a shame City have started winning.
Well, they've won a game. They've won 1 in 12. Does that
they beat Leicester.
Yeah.
You've got a bit more to do yet.
I tell you what, though, over here I've seen more United shirts than any other team. In fact, I can't actually remember seeing any other shirts other than United. They're not English people. They're
sounds about right.
Americans. Yeah.
Well, I suppose you don't get to see any over here anymore, do you? They're all in
cowering in shame.
Now. Yeah. I honestly can't remember the last time, apart from on a grown man, which doesn't count because they should be committed to some sort of asylum. But I mean, grown men liking football shirts is just weird. Full stop. I think.
Steady on, Nick. Remember you talking to?
Yeah. just checking you're still listening then. Right, we should probably move on to the next two then. Now, we were talking in the group chat yesterday, Hannah, were we not? Yesterday or the day before, where we were talking about selection and how the squad's going to look in January when loan players go back and what have you.
Yeah.
Someone in there happened to say, "Oh, well, we've not had an injury crisis for a while," and then lo and behold, brilliant. So Tanto went off injured, hamstring. Louis Barry asked to come off, hamstring. Fraser Horsfall in what looked the most serious of the lot, and I'm hoping it's like a double bluff thing, because all the times we've had players injured and Challinger's said, "Oh, it's looking like weeks rather than months," and then we don't see him for 6 months. So he said months rather than weeks for Horsfall. So I'm fully expecting him to be back on Wednesday.
I know someone said that about Fraser, didn't they? Because it's the same with his head injury a couple of weeks ago, and he went off, and everyone, it'll be a concussion protocol. Yeah. He was in the 1883 afterwards. Yeah, the story was he'd gone to hospital. He was in the 1883, played a few days later. We'll see.
Well, Horsfall's the one I'm not. I mean, obviously, I'm worried because he's a important player, but we've got a player in Hughes who can just step right in. A player called Hughes who's not really had much of a chance because Horsfall has stayed fit and unsuspended for the most part, and definitely hasn't been picking up any stupid red cards and then moaning about them in the courtyard with Steve Bellis that really annoyed me and I've still not got over. But that's the position where we have got someone. It's up top where we've got Fevrier out injured fairly long term. Diamond's not really. Jack Diamond is another one that just seems to have divided people because I think we mentioned last week that he's got a similar skill set to Louis Barry. He's agile. He can take players on, but unlike Louis Barry, he doesn't seem to know what to do once he gets into a decent position.
I think with Diamond, to give him credit, when he came on yesterday, he looked, for the first kind of 10, 15 minutes, he looked dangerous. He looked like, right, this is the Jack Diamond we hoped we'd be seeing. And yeah, he was I don't know if he was unlucky not to score, but he was certainly buzzing around and kind of grabbing the game by the scruff of the neck kind of thing. And then he reverted back into the kind of a Diamond that we've got to know, which is just a bit all over the place. And he compounded it with that stupid flick that he tried to do out on the touchline, which just lost us possession. We had loads of momentum. We had people forward. We kind of had them under a bit of pressure. And then he just does that completely unnecessary. Kind of do it when you're 4-0 up if you're going to do something like that. Don't do it when you're chasing, not even chasing a game, but, pushing for a second goal. And it's just so frustrating. And I think that is just like the story of his 6 months we've had with him so far. That he's been flashes of, maybe not greatness, but looking a decent player. And then he'll go and do something dumb, or he'll just doesn't have that little bit of quality we hope we'd see. I think he's got it. I think he's got it. We're just not seeing it.
Yeah, I think that's completely fair. And on the subject of frustration, another frustrating thing that I've picked out this week is the fact that just a few weeks ago we'd looked like we'd worked out what I know me and you, Ben, have talked about how a best 11 isn't really relevant in today's game and stuff. But at the same time, we had that 11 that were winning games, beating Wrexham and Bolton, and in the space of 90 minutes this week, that's just been, well, in the space of a few days, I suppose, with the Barry recall as well.
Yeah,
I think it just seems to have been decimated. What
we haven't mentioned about injuries there is Bate not being involved as well, and
the Coventry-bound Lewis Bate.
But allegedly, and it does worry me that, because if that is true, Coventry, there's a clear almost reason there. With Frank Lampard, Lampard's the one who I think promoted him to the first team at Chelsea, or that kind of training. If you ever played for them, but certainly.
No, he was on the bench for a few league games under him, but he never played.
Yeah, so Frank's certainly going to be aware of him and know what he's all about. And, I think Lampard, for all his faults, does have a reasonable record of kind of promoting young players into first teams and all of that. And not that Bates like some kind of 17-year-old kid, but he's still young. You could see him certainly getting a move to a Lampard team and being a important player. So hopefully it's just, it's just made up nonsense, or it doesn't amount to anything. But either way, it sounds like he's going to be out for most of the month. And then you add to that Horsfall, whether or, I'd imagine he's having some kind of scan to assess exactly what's happened, but you can't imagine he's going to be back for Birmingham if he was stretched off. So the very worst case, you think, for probably certainly the toughest game in the coming weeks, we haven't got Bate, we haven't got Horsfall, we maybe don't have Barry as well. Say again, sorry?
Camps is poorly.
Yeah. So then, you're looking at, that's the spine of our team. It's gone. And I know we need to get, Barry, it's his last game anyway, so we need to get over that and move on. So, I'm not too fussed about that, even though, obviously he's an important player for us, but we need to get used to not having Barry, so that's fine. But missing Horsfall and Bate, you just think they're so important to the way that we play, particularly if we try and bring it out from the back. Typically the ball will go to Horsfall or it will go straight to Bate, and they kind of turn and make things happen. You take them both out, and that's a big gap. And, no matter how good Sam Hughes is, and, he's played 200 odd games in the Football League at a good level. So he's got some kind of, obviously he's got a lot of ability. He's just kind of a bit untested with us. it's a big ask to ask him and whoever's going to be replacing Bate to kind of pick up the standard that Horsfall and Bate have been at, because for me, Bate's been head and shoulders our best player this season.
Yeah,
And
I think in
Norwood-
terms of that central midfield too, when for all this supposed embarrassment of riches that we've got in central midfield, when it's not been Bate and Camps together, there's just always. I mean, I maintain that there's still something missing in terms of us not having a Croasdale type player, someone who is going to snuff out danger and put a tackle in. I still don't think we've got that, and I think there's games where, I mean, if you look at the Birmingham away game, for example, Norwood might as well have not been. I mean, he got hauled off at half time. I didn't even realise he'd been playing. I think games like that where we're under the cosh, they're going to pass him by because he's one of those players who needs to be. Needs to have time on the ball. He needs to be in charge of things. He needs to be dictating the possession, and I don't think we're going to get that against some teams. So it just feels without that Camps and Bate. I'm going to say it. Let's have a wanker alert. That double pivot. Not going to refer to one of them as a 6. Don't worry, because I'm not a complete psychopath.
Having said that, what I did like yesterday, and I haven't really seen. I don't know if you've seen it much this season. Was Bailey, and he was everywhere yesterday. And not everything worked for him. And I think he was probably guilty of almost trying to do a little bit too much. But I'd rather he did that and lose his possession a few times than is kind of a little bit more passive like Norwood can be sometimes. Yeah. So potentially Bailey's going to be that one who is that. He's not good. He's not a like for like replacement for Bate. He probably plays a little bit more advanced. But maybe we'll see a bit more of Bailey. I like him. I think he's great.
I do.
I know he's kind of... He kind of dropped off a little bit when we signed him permanently compared to his loan period. But I think he's got a massive part to play for us. And it sounds like Camps won't be ready for... Maybe if he's ill, I don't know. Maybe he will be available. But I really like Camps as well this season. I think him and Bailey have got a lot more energy and are just kind of at it. And I think are more like that Dave Challoner County team that, is kind of like the classic county team under him than probably what Norwood offers us.
I think Odin Bailey as well will have that. He's the one, when Charlie's been talking in interviews about, these players are knocking on my door. I want to see them kind of prove themselves. I want to see them fight. He's the only one that I think we've seen that kind of elevated energy from. Tanto maybe, and, obviously was really gutted that he, was kind of getting to the point where he was a natural kind of successor to any gaps that might emerge at the front, but he's obviously going to be out for a little bit. But Odin, I think definitely proved himself over the last few games that he's a worthy addition to the team.
Alafe this season.
It reminds me of when Mika Richards first came through at City. When he first burst onto the scene, to use his words. There was that summer where he went off and he just seemed to work on, like, basically work in the gym all summer. He might have had an injury, actually. He might have had a hamstring injury or something, but he just worked in the gym all summer and came back and seemed to have forgotten how to kick a football. And it seems to be. I know Alafe was he was back training while everyone else was on holiday doing fitness work and everything. And I don't know if he's suffered because of that. It doesn't help that we don't seem to play to his strengths at all. I think me and Hannah mentioned this the other week that when our designated target man isn't available and we have to play someone else up top, we still play like we've got a target man.
But you say about we're not playing to his strengths. Like, what are his strengths that we should be playing to? Because I think we saw it probably in League Two particularly against the weaker teams, that he was brilliant. Not quite as simple as bang a ball over the top or play a through ball and he just run onto it and score. But we were able to do that a lot more because he was so quick. And then, generally his finishing is quite good when he gets in the positions and, his shot conversion and all that thing's really positive. But I just don't think you can do that against better teams. You don't get
you can't. No.
To like bang the ball over the top and have like a pacey Alafe run onto it. And I know that's a really simplistic way of looking at the game. There's a lot more to it than that. But that for me is his strength. You give him a ball to chase after, he'll beat most people in a foot race. But the defenders are so much better at this level, and the teams are so much more organised. One, we're not getting the opportunity to pick those passes through to him, and two, if we do, the defenders either are just better organised or in better positions, or are better equipped to deal with someone like him. You're right. And I don't think it's unfair to him to say that he's not a target man in the same way that Wootton is. I don't think there's many people in the division who can do what Wootton does as effectively as him. So that's no kind of discredit to Alafe. I don't think there's anyone else in our squad who could do that. But then, so where does he fit in? Because we've tried him out wide, we've tried him in the target man role. We're not getting him those opportunities that you might say like his classic kind of number 9 position. And then, when he's getting these 20 minutes, the pressure's really on him, and it's just not happening for him at all. I can't really see how that's going to change unless we fundamentally change something in our approach.
Well, that's it. We've got to the point where we're halfway through the season now, and we're still talking about him having not really had a pre-season and still playing catch up, and obviously being out of the BDSM trophy as well. It gets to the point where, well, that's, as Liam Richardson said to us the other week, it's like, well, that's game time gone for a lot of players now. That's a lot of players not getting any game time because we don't have that competition to rotate in.
Cheshire Senior Cup's on its way though.
Yeah, we're getting to see Bohan Dixon and Josh Amos again for you Skrill North and Vanarama watchers.
He's not getting much game time. We've played this season, all competitions, 30 games. He's played 26.
He's been involved a lot more than people seem to think.
He's not started all of them, but he's featured in every game since the last game he didn't play any part in was the Bolton 5-0. Prior to that, he played. Yeah, it's only the Bolton 5-0, and then the first couple of games of the season he's not featured in.
Yeah,
so
I think what you were saying about how maybe putting balls in behind doesn't work because the defenders are better. I can only think of like a couple of teams. Like, if you think back to Wrexham at home last season, the 5-0, and just these big daft defenders who him and Barry had an absolute field day against. Bolton this season is one of the games where it would have suited him, but we were fine anyway without him. Maybe there's been a couple more, like Stevenage with Pierre Gianni, someone who's not exactly blessed with pace, who if you get him on the turn, he's knackered. But you're right, there's not a lot of it. There's not a lot of it at all in this league. Everyone seems to be going away from big and daft bastard defenders, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I don't know. I'll just say I don't know what the answer is, and I'm sure it's something that the club and him are working on. But he's got 3 goals in the league this season from 26. I mean, he's not had 26 league appearances, but probably 20 league appearances. And again, I know sometimes it's only been like 10 minutes here and there, but he's essentially our number 9. He's our main striker. I know, striker in the traditional sense of the word. Louis Barry has been more of like our attacking threat, but as our out-and-out striker, Alafe is our main man, and he's got 3 goals so far. And hopefully, you'd want to be seeing him getting at least double, probably 10 for the season. Yeah. I think so. I think he's got a long way to go to get to that. And I hope. And I don't know if he needs to turn it round. I don't necessarily think he's been playing badly. He's not like that Xerxes at United. He's just been subbed off after 25 minutes. I don't think he's not Excellent. Like that kind of comedy figure or anything. He's not Marvin Robinson, but. Yeah, we need to find a way or unlock something in the team to get the best out of him, I think. Because, we saw last season he got 25 goals or whatever. He can be a massive threat. But, yeah, for whatever reason, it's not happened this year.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of that, really. It's weird because Camps was one of the players that in the summer I'd have quite happily let us move on and thought we would, to be honest. But he's really picked up this season. Sean, after what? Two seasons with us of always looking decent, but never being first choice. But no.
If you'd have said it 12 months ago, would we get, if someone had come in for him this time last year, 18 months in at County, I'd probably like, yeah, it's not really worked out. To be fair to him, the back end of last season, maybe from about February onwards, he was superb. He really kind of helped drive us on. I think he played a massive part. And when he's been fit this season, I think he's been one of our best. You say Bates been a standout player because he's played loads more games than Camps. But I think whenever Camps has been fit, if he'd have played, as many games as Bate had, and he'd been at the level in camps, had maintained his level of performance in all of those games, I'd probably be saying he's our player of the season. He's just not playing often enough, either through whether he's not in favour, or he's not fit, or whatever it is. I don't know, but I think he's been great this year.
Yeah, absolutely superb. I think that takes us on nicely, actually, to 3 days from now, the 2nd of January, the transfer window opens. I know it's easy to say, oh, I'll go out and sign 6 more players and everything will be all right. Because everything is broadly all right. I mean, we're in a playoff position in League One in our first season back here for over a decade. So things are going all right. But if we do want to push on because I think we can safely say that top 2 is out of reach. Maybe not points wise, but I just think Birmingham and Wickham will be the top 2 then. I wouldn't be surprised if Wrexham ended up quite away. Because for all this talk of teams playing against Wrexham and seeing the fans going, oh well, they're very ordinary. They're not good. They're not that good at all. It's like, well, they just keep on winning. That's what a Phil Parkinson side does.
And
when
the
it's on
last
form.
minute, like again yesterday, last minute or injury time, like.
And we've had that. We've had that where that's happened to us. Like the last 2 promotions we've had, there's been so many late goals, and that's just what happens when you're a good side, well managed with momentum. So I'd say those top 3 are going to be quite a way above
and
everyone else.
People talk about Parkinson, like Jurassic Parky and all that kind of thing. It's like, would you rather be a bit, agricultural and be 3rd in the league or 2nd in the league and winning loads of games? Or would you rather, maybe a little bit easier on the eye, but be like 10th? I'd be quite happy being called a bunch of cloggers if it was in the top 2 or 3. And it's unfair to call them a bunch of cloggers. They play to their strengths. But they're not Wimbledon of the 90s, are they? They're a lot better than that. And you don't win as many games as they've done over the last 3 or 4 years by just being thugs. They're a really good side. And like I said, we've said it before on here, but I suspect this is the year they do. I don't know if they go up, but they'll certainly finish above us.
Yeah. So in terms of how the season's going to end, then I'm glad you've got me onto that there, Ben. So it feels to me like one of those. It has done since fairly early on in the season, despite us having that very good start. It's got the feeling of a 95-96, a 2006-07, a 17-18. That season where we'll just miss out either in the playoffs or just miss out on the playoffs before having a proper go of it next year and being one of the best couple of sides in the league. What do you think we need in January, Ben, in terms of personnel? How many? What positions? Where are we looking at?
Assuming we don't sell anyone, I think we might see someone like Fiorini go out on loan, perhaps. Assuming we don't lose Bate, we don't lose Pye or anything like that, then I would, depending on the extent of Horsfall's injury, I think we're all right in defence. Obviously, of course, Pye could go and break his leg and all this kind of stuff, but you assume not. So I think we're fairly all right in defence. I think Callum Connolly has been like decent. I was going to say steady. I think that's probably unfair to. I think he's been better than that. I think he's been a good addition without being, a top performer. He's reliable. So I think we're all right in defence. Again, assuming everyone stays fit, we don't lose anyone. But the main thing, I think, is going forward. I don't know where we sit in terms of chances created. From a layman's perspective, I go to pretty much every game, but it feels like we create. I don't know if we create chances. We have a lot of possession. We spend a lot of time and have the ball in the right areas. Are we creating chances though? I don't think it's a case where like Wootton or Alafe or whoever are like missing chance after chance after chance. It's that we're not necessarily creating those chances, so that when one comes along, it feels massive and it feels like the strikers have really balls things up because we have so few chances in a game. So I don't know whether that needs a kind of an old school striker and a kind of a Luke Beckett perspective. I don't even think that player kind of exists anymore. I think for me, what we haven't done, we haven't replaced Madden. and everything that he brought in terms of his goals, his know-how, his creativity. And obviously a player like that is very difficult to find. There's not just Paddy Madden's knocking around, or certainly not for cheap. But I don't feel like we've replaced Madden, and I don't feel like we've replaced Sarcevic either. And that's not to say that I think we should have kept those two individuals. And it was probably, if they wanted 2-year deals, it was probably right to move them on if we only offered a year. But I do feel like that kind of profile of a player is exactly what we need. Probably Madden more so than Sarcevic. I think there's a big opportunity for Bailey to step up and maybe do that. Collar is kind of, I think between Collar and Bailey, you almost get a Sarcevic role. Obviously, it probably takes 2 players to do it. But for me, the big thing is that attacking one goal scorer, but creative brain and everything which just kind of drives people on. And it's, someone like Wotton, for all his hold-up play, and I think he's probably the best in the division at doing it. We probably need to see more goals from him as well. He scored quite a few early on in the season. He doesn't feel like he scored many in the last kind of couple of months. So I think going forward is our big thing we need to focus on.
Ian Down says we've created the 4th most chances in the league, which is mad because I can't. If you think of games where we've not won, all I can think of is the Collar hitting the bar at Birmingham, which I don't think really counts as a chance because he just absolutely cunted it from about 20 yards out. But in terms of a clear-cut chance, you probably talking Barry getting denied at point-blank range in the same game.
Well, then,
I can't think of any other instance of that happening.
You look at this now, and there's only, we've scored 35 goals this season. There's only Reading, so there's Birmingham have got 37, so we're kind of on par with them. Wrexham have got 35. Wickham are well clear on 47. Huddersfield are 36, so essentially the same as us. Reading 36, same as us. Barnsley 34, same as us. And then there's the only other team who are kind of well clear is Peterborough, who are down in 18th. They've scored 39, but they've conceded a shitload. So I don't know. Maybe the perception that we need to score more isn't fair. That we are scoring, on par with the rest of the division. But maybe that's the problem. From par with the rest of the division, we're not going to be at the top of the division. We're going to be in with everybody else. Yeah. So it does feel like I don't think I'm rambling a little bit here now, but I just feel like because we seem to be so tight, we don't give away loads of goals. That if we just had, an extra couple of goals in us, not even every game, you just think if Collar had put that chance away, if there had been, an extra goal in us yesterday when we had all that kind of swarming possession, it would make the world of difference to us. So I don't think we're far away at all. I don't think we need to bring in like 5 new players and totally rip up the way we're playing or rip up the personnel. I think we're just,
I agree on the Paddy Madden Sarce replacement. I think, though, that behaviour and that kind of some of those skills can be learnt as opposed to kind of imported. And the other thing I think is that it'd be interesting to see how we adapt play in the absence of Louis Barry. So, you can imagine the way that plays are practiced and Louis is going to run here. But, Louis Barry is a liability to some degree as well, in that he is, the highest scorer in the league. He's the man that you're going to mark. He's the one that defenders will be sticking to. So moving away from that, I mean, Nick and I have laughed about this before. You read some of the comments on Facebook, on Twitter, you would think that we would be playing with 10 men from Mansfield onwards, because
Louis Barry played for 140 years before he came along.
Yeah, no one else can score goals. It's but other people with creativity, with space, not being man marked in the same way, or at least 1-on-1 as opposed to 3-on-1. I think it'd be really interesting, and it'd be interesting to see if if his hamstring injury does keep him out of the Birmingham game, how we respond, because they had 2 to 3 players on him pretty much the whole game. They were the first team that kind of properly neutralised him. Stevenage did all right at it as well. But I was kind of always really confused that the other teams didn't bother in the same way. But Birmingham was successful at it. And, possibly this not knowing whether he'll play or not plays into our hands with that, because their game plan and their strategy would be very different, I think, if there's not sure which is better for us in terms of taking two of their players kind of out of the main gameplay because they're stuck on Louis Barry. Maybe that works better for us, and we almost play without him.
The Birmingham fans seem to be the ones being the weird. I mean, I've talked before about Birmingham fans being so weird with any reference to Louis Barry on social media, and Birmingham fans just seem to be on it. Like, oh, why didn't he turn up in the game against us? Like, because you had about 700 million quid's worth of talent, like marking him out of the game. That's how it works, and he's not in a position where he's going to run the game either. Like that wide forward. If Lewis Bate was getting marked out of the game, that's when you think, all right, this is an issue.
I think as
but
well,
a wide forward is going to be like that.
I think with Barry, what Hannah said there, I kind of agree with. And I think if you look back to the last player we had, who was that kind of, it's not fair to call him a one-man team, but, was obviously the fulcrum of what we do and is a very, standout player for us, was Danny Lloyd.
Friend of the show.
And every friend of the show, Danny Lloyd, yeah. And everyone said, well, we'll never replace him. It's like, well, no, you're not going to get a like-for-like player. We're not going to get one single individual player who is going to replace Louis Barry. And anyone who thinks that we can go and get another Louis Barry is probably up for a bit of a awakening, because they just don't exist. Certainly there's very few of them who are going to come down to League One. So we're not just going to go and get that. But you look at what we did when Danny Lloyd went, and we bought in kind of Oswell and Matty Warburton, and to a lesser extent Sam Walker in that first season. But we had a much better spread, and the team as a whole was better for it. We didn't have that individual brilliance of Danny Lloyd, but the team as a whole was better. And I think it's a similar thing now with Barry. And I don't know whether the bodies or the players that we have now are necessarily going to be able to absorb the loss of Barry and kind of elevate us. Maybe they will, and they'll step up, and it makes the focus of the team a little bit different, and we play a little bit differently. But I do think I don't want to say it's a positive losing him, because he's a leading scorer and he's an outrageous talent. But I think overall as the team, we can be better for it, because we're not so reliant on one person. That we don't just have that almost get out of jail card. So I'll just pass it to Louis, he'll do something. That we now have to try different things. We have to think about what we do. So I'm not heartbroken that he's gone. I'd love him to stay. Obviously, that's not going to happen. He's not going to come back. But I think overall, as a team, we can be better for it. And it might mean that actually, we're going to have to cut the reliance on him, because he's not going to be here. So it can be a positive thing for us. Yeah,
it's just basically accelerated it, because there's no... Even if he was to help us get promoted this season and bang 30-odd goals in, which is, let's be honest, what he was on course for, even if we're in the Championship next season, I don't think we'd be getting him back on loan. I think they'd be testing him at a top-end Championship club. So whichever way... I know people say, let's get to the Championship and buy him. Like the Championship, like his value hasn't going to have gone up already, and like the Championship is some massive money tree. It's not the Premier League, fuck's sake.
Yeah. No, exactly. I saw something at Kieran Maguire, like the football finance analyst, tweeted something out earlier about like Hull City, and for every like £100 or whatever it is in revenue they get, they're spending £126 on wages. So the division is just an absolute basket case. Hull City, whatever Hull City's commercial revenue and everything they bring in will absolutely dwarf ours. They're a much bigger club than us. And if that's what
look at the concerts they have on at their stadium. They have about 8 or 9 concerts on at their stadium alone that's beating us.
And if that's what, and I don't, not that they're some kind of high flying Championship club, but they're not rock bottom like Plymouth are. I know they're kind of down in the bottom 5 or so. But God, if that's what they're doing, then I say getting to the Championship, it's not like you get some kind of blank check and you can just, it's an absolute money pit, the Championship. And I don't want to say be careful what you wish for, because I'd love to be back in the back in the Championship. But yeah, we're not suddenly going to be dropping £10 million on players if we go up.
There seems to be this rush from some fans to get into the Championship as soon as we possibly can. It's not as vital as like the 2 non-league promotions were, where it's like we need to get back where there is like a massive increase in TV cash and stuff. It's not like that. I'd rather us get there. I think we will finish top 6, and that'll be fine if we go out in the playoffs. It's all about every other time we've lost in the playoffs, we've used the experience to make us better the following season and gone up. So yeah, there's not too much to worry
And I
about
think
really.
the other thing is as well, I think if you look at where we are now, like you say, we're top 5, the top 4 look like they're potentially beginning to pull away a little bit. And you'd expect Wickham and Birmingham, probably Wrexham, to sail off into the distance. But the kind of the precedent under Mark Stott of when we've been in this position in a football league, a couple of years ago, we were kind of pushing for promotion out of League Two. Obviously, we didn't get there in the end, but we were in the shout of it. And then we went out and spent big money on Olafe to kind of give us the best chance of doing it. I can't remember who else came in. It was like bloody Phil Bardsley, wasn't it, and all them.
Ardsley was
Aki Wright. Was that season?
No, he was. I think he was the
He was the year before,
wasn't he? Yeah. So I do think I wouldn't be surprised at all if we go and actually give it a bit of a go this week, because we're not a million miles. Say we're not a million miles away. We're right involved in the mix. We're one of the kind of the key teams in the playoffs. So Kyle Noyle was the other player I was trying to think of who it was. He came in.
Yes, he was a mid-season. Yeah.
So I think we'll go for it. I do. Particularly with Barry going now, that's not going to have been a surprise. It's not like Villa picked up the phone last week and said, "Oh, guess what? We're going to recall Barry." I'm sure Wilson and everyone have known about this for weeks, or so it's been on the cards for weeks. So I'm wholly confident we'll have people lined up, ready to go. Wouldn't surprise me if we've already got people signed, and we're just waiting to unveil them and announce them.
I think it's going to be the most. I mean, I think we said the same in the summer, actually, that it's going to be a very interesting window, but this might be the most interesting one yet, particularly with the new salary protocol starting next summer. It's like, well, do we just accelerate what we're going to do in the summer and maybe pay a bit more in January?
And the thing is as well, like you say, we are involved in the promotion mix now. I know it's December, so it's a bit early to say that, but we are. We're 5th now, and we're there. Obviously, we're there on merit. Obviously, we've played a game more than everyone else, but we're there on merit. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if we went out and really gave it a go. And because you never know, in 12 months' time, we might say, "Oh, we're not going to do it this year. Let's consolidate." 12 months' time, Challoner might have been poached by a Championship team. He might have gone.
Yeah, and Wayne Rooney will be out of work by then. Well, Wayne Rooney will be out of work in 10 minutes' time. So it will be Wayne Rooney, Stockport County, and it'll all go to shit.
Ethan Pye might have been sold. Fraser Horsfall might have not signed a new contract, and Lewis Bate might have gone to Coventry. And before you know it, we were 5th at this point, and then in 12 months' time, we might actually be 16th, and playoffs are just a distant dream. So if the opportunity is there, as it is now, and I'm not kind of advocating we go and spend millions and millions and kind of put the future of the club at risk or anything like that, but with a bit of smart recruitment, which you trust Wilson and everyone to get right, let's go for it.
Yeah, absolutely. I think in terms of just to touch on the 2 games coming up this week, obviously Birmingham at home, New Year's Day at home, which is just a horrible day for football. This Birmingham at home is one of the games where we should have a fantastic atmosphere, but we're not going to, because we struggle with that quite a lot anyway, and just the fact everyone's hungover or still pissed just makes it absolutely minging. Didn't get to touch on this on the Dave Smith episode, Ben, but how would you feel about New Year's Eve football becoming a thing? I'm fully on board. I hate New Year's Eve anyway.
I do too, but it wouldn't because of policing and stuff.
Fuck them, fuck the police.
I'd be all right with it because I'm a deeply unpopular person and don't have anything to do on New Year's Eve. So I'd be quite happy to do it.
Yes,
I'm past the point now of going out and making New Year's Eve a big thing. I bet you might have a couple of people around, and that's it. If you're going to do it, it would have to be like you got Boxing Day as a local thing, and it's like that thing you have on a Friday night before Christmas. We say, "Oh, it's been great having a Friday night home game before Christmas because we're at home." Like if you're a Peterborough fan, it's not great having to go to Stockport. So yeah, if we had a New Year's Eve game at home and we were playing I don't know, like a decent localish, I don't know, Wrexham. We have a Wrexham on New Year's Eve or something. Yeah, big game, big crowd, and all this. But if you're a Wrexham fan, you've got to drive to Stockport on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, if you're at home and you were that way inclined, you could go out after the game. But if you're an away fan, then no, you're on a bus.
No,
or you're
I'm
driving
thinking
back.
what they should do. You know, some of these stadiums that are multi-purpose, like the pitch slides away, and they've got like the concert floor underneath. So we should get one of them, and then just have everyone on the pitch having a party. Bring a bag
Are
of
you
cans.
going to segregate
All the
this at
fans.
all?
No, it's New Year, New me. Let's just let them all have a bit of fun together.
Old Lang Syning with a load of kind of Bradford fans on the pitch.
Yeah.
What could possibly go wrong?
I'm fully in. I'm fully in.
Yeah.
Hannah, before we wrap up, what's your New Year's wish? What's your New Year's wish apart from getting to play Mansfield while we're in the middle of an injury crisis, as the prophecies have foretold?
Oh God, well, I'd just like not to play Mansfield. Full stop.
Generally,
that would be my Christmas wish. New Year's wish.
Are they still doing well, Mansfield? Are they still knocking on the door?
No.
No.
They've had a little bit of a bad run.
Well, we know where that's going to end, don't we?
It went badly, and they've had a decent kind of run of form, but they're low scoring wins. I think Harry's in Malta and not kind of semi-suicidal, so things can't be that bad. I think they won yesterday. They beat Reading. Yeah, that's Mansfield, but I don't.
Reading yesterday.
Oh, there you go then.
Yeah.
Oh,
well, maybe not so well then.
There's something minging about Mansfield in January, whether it's home or away. I don't know if it's just because if I'm still scarred from, was it last year was it New Year's Day last year we played them?
Yeah,
and it was just absolutely rang. And that was the injury. That was Kyle Noyle's injury that he's just back from. We should probably touch on it because he got his first start yesterday.
Oh, did it?
Did not look out of place at all. We've finally got options on either side of the defence in terms of wing backs. It's thrilling. Until one of them gets injured, obviously. Should we have a sweepstake on which of the four wing backs?
Don't bring his name into it and injuries. It's not. No, that's not. Yeah,
I might jinx it. Right, we should probably wrap it up there. Final show of the year. Hannah, what can people do? Because not only are you having to talk to people who are watching on YouTube but haven't subscribed, but there will be people for whom, because we're blue tick wankers now.
We are.
We'll have just popped up on people's feed, and people are watching because we popped up on their feed. What should those people do, Hannah?
Those people should like and subscribe on both X, formerly known as Twitter, and YouTube at SK3TV Pod. Both of them, they're the same. It's really easy. Like, no nonsense. That's what they should do. And while they're at it, on the audio podcasting platforms, you can also follow them so that you get alerts when we go live, but you can also rate them. We would be very appreciative of a 5-star rating. Thanks.
Yes, that was very good. That was like informative, but also there was like phone sex line vibes because you went husky towards the end. So we've covered
not what I was going for, but thanks.
But if you do follow us across all those thingies, as I think the technical term is, you will also be first to find out about some non-county related. We've got a big non-county related announcement in the new year that will be going out to film next week. So that'll be exciting. Ben, what county adjacent?
SK3 TV chat line. Like an 0891, like 50. You know, like
I could read out the injury list.
Exactly that, yeah. Some like red hot county chat.
Yeah, like priest chat on Father Ted.
Exactly that, yeah.
That sort of thing.
Like talk through like the washing instructions on certain shirts and like
6 of the 7 ways that you can tell a fake Romania 96 shirt.
But really slow updates.
Close to the microphone.
49p per minute premium rates.
Go full on county club call. Oh, I'm loving the 90s vibes. Ben, while people are following all those above, channels, what
Yes.
county adjacent Twitter account should they follow? And Instagram and Facebook as well. It's
Wow,
New
it'd
Year.
be-
Let's promote ourselves.
It'd be remiss to
Remiss.
not mention or to mention the Stockport County shirt collection. I'm sure you're already following it because
There's a shirt you're after, is there not, Ben? There's one shirt. I love it. Every few years, you get to a stage where there's literally one shirt missing in the collection. And much like County, you've been devoid of jeopardy. So I was delighted to see your post today. I know it's not delightful
Yeah.
for you, but it is for me. Well, it's a thrill of
Yeah.
the chase, isn't it?
It is exactly that. So, I've got quite a few county shirts, about 450. Match worn county shirts going back to the early 60s. But I do have an unbroken record of every player shirt that we've worn since 1988 to the present day. When I say the present day, I mean the back end of last season. Except one, which is the shirt we wore in the Accrington and Wrexham games at the back end of last season, which was the home shirt, the blue home shirt, but it had a couple of differences. So it had the Champions print underneath the crest, the Together sleeve patch underneath the Football League sleeve patch was in a different position. It was above the Puma rather than under the Puma as it was on the regular ones, and therefore the Football League sleeve patches were higher up. The people still use the word font, or is it typeface? The font, let's go with font. That the scan detail on the collar was a different font, and the name set, so where it said Madden or Sarcevic or whatever, was on a straight line rather than a curved name set. So all of the players were given one of those shirts to wear. Did we bring them out after Morecambe? We maybe might have bought them out after the Morecambe game, but certainly they were worn against Accrington and against Wrexham, and spoke to various people at the club, and each player only had one. So you're essentially asking a player to give up their shirt for the collection, which is a big ask. But, if you're not expecting Paddy Madden, but, Todd Kane, hi.
We need a falling out. What we need, we either need a former player who hates the club now, or we need a current player to have a falling out and to want to get rid of any sign that he ever played for us.
Yeah, who's that going to be? Who is that person going to be? I was thinking someone like who, for me, yeah, obviously, you look at, if you could pick anyone, it would be a Madden, or Horsfall would be the kind of the ones you would go after. Realistically, that's not going to happen. So you think someone who played a good part of the team, got one of the shirts, was worn, but doesn't necessarily have the attachment to the club. And I think the standout candidate there is Ethan Bristow. Because he was only
Ethan
on
Bristow
loan.
is the one.
He was a good player. He was like a regular first team player without being one of like the superstars, but he wasn't some kind of one appearance chump like Reece Bennett or someone like that. So I think someone like him would be good. So I've got a little. Like I say, I'm never ever going to like message him saying like, "Hey, give me a shirt." It's not the done thing. Don't like it. If you do that, if that's what you do to get hold of shirts, you're getting it wrong. So stop doing it.
What about holding signs up saying Louis Barry can have your shirt? How do you feel about that?
It was his dad yesterday who got his shirt. Barry took his shirt off at the end of the game.
Oh,
he went into the crowd, and I was like, some fucking kid's got a sign and got his shirt. I'm like, I'm going to go mug them on the way out, and steal it. I'll teach them. But apparently it was his dad. He went and gave it to his dad.
Oh, that's very
which
sweet.
is fine. I'm not going to try and like assault his dad. And also, I'm sponsored by Barry anyway, so I'll be getting one of those shirts in a couple of weeks anyway. So anyway, I've got a strategy as to how I'm going to specifically engage a couple of players about for one of those champion shirts, because the club, I've spoke to the club. I was like, there must be one somewhere, but apparently they were all given to the players and they all kept them.
Whoever you get, ask them if they want to come on the podcast as well, like two birds.
Yes, I will do. Yes, would you like?
Unless it's Todd Kane, I'm not really asked. Don't really have anything to say to Todd Kane.
Yeah, Todd Kane. Yeah, played his part, didn't he? Who else kind of fits in that bracket from last season? Todd Kane, Reece Bennett.
I can only think of Kane and Bristow. Oh yeah, Reece Bennett, of course. But Reece Bennett's going to
Lewis-
play for England and what have you, and then in 10
Lewis
years' time,
Cass.
Reece Bennett will do an interview. Is it Lewis Cass? That's the other one I was thinking of. Reece Bennett will do an interview in 10 years where he'll say, "Oh, 100 England caps, and it's Stockport County that made me. That loan spell meant everything to me."
Great little Lewis Cass was the first player to score on his debut for County since.
Oh, we mentioned him before. We mentioned someone before who also scored on his debut. Kyle Noyle.
No, didn't score on his debut.
Was Tranmere not his debut?
Has he ever scored Trilo?
Noyle scored against Tranmere in January, February, maybe last season.
Kyle's debut was Northampton, a 2-0
Okay,
league win.
scratch that.
Definitely scoring that.
Bohan Dixon.
No, after Bohan.
No, I don't know. There's like a period there. Go on.
It was Ollie Crankshaw away at Weymouth in the.
Weymouth, yes. We talked
Yeah.
about it as well. Oh, God.
So there we go. So Lewis Cass is actually a nice little thing there. He'll be famous for that. I say famous. In my mind, he'll be famous for that for a long time.
That's the main thing. That's the only place you want to be
That's
famous.
the main thing. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. Dan Malter's just, if it's worth pointing out, Louis Barry's dad gave it to someone in the car park.
Did he though? Or are you just trying to annoy me by saying that?
Yeah, I was just gonna say.
Because I do know that obviously we've spoken, I think we've touched upon Barry's dad a little bit before in the past and how kind of supportive and everything he is about Barry's career. So I kind of hope that he didn't give it to someone else.
Watches this.
Because I do know that last year that Barry, when he got injured against Crewe, he took home one of each of his county shirts with him for like his own stash because he didn't think he was going to play again. So he took the blue, the green, and the black one because he wanted a kind of a memory and a memento ever of playing for County. And then when he came back into the team, the club had to knock him up another set of shirts. So all of the ones from when he was shit hot for us, kind of 15 months ago, Barry has. He's got them at home.
What a note to end on. Yeah. I might just not say anything now. I might just end the recording. I think because that's the best way to do it. Well, thank you to everyone who's tuned in, and not just tonight, but all year. 6 months. We are 6 months old. Are we teething? Is that teething age?
No.
Teething.
Yeah,
Sitting up,
not
baby.
yet.
Sitting up with a couple of cushions around you, just about.
We are the podcast that is
Still
sitting up
likely
with a
to
couple
fall
of
over
cushions.
and bang your head sometimes.
Yeah.
That's us. That's so us. Yeah. So thank you to everyone who supported us in this 6 months, either by watching or getting in touch or interacting with our posts online, or for coming to an event that we've been involved in / hosting. It's very much appreciated. And there's lots more coming next year. So should we... You do it, Hannah, because you've got a pleasing voice. Say Happy New Year to everyone.
No, I was going to say, see you next year, Nick.
Oh, God, we're doing that. Am I going to have 24 hours of this in the group chat as well? Is that going to be it?
Maybe. You might get live coverage of another trip to Bucky's in Daytona Beach tomorrow.
Okay, I'd rather have that.
Happy New Year, everyone. I hope you have a very healthy, successful, and I said healthy
Sexy.
already. Happy, yeah, all of that.
Have a sexy New Year, everyone.
Don't have a sexy New Year at Edgeley Park on Saturday, though. Kids are there.
Not saying anything. Let's just say goodbye. It's the best thing to do.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thanks. Fucking hell.